So what's up guys and welcome to my channel. In this video I'll be ranking all 10 Marvel movies, well the ones that have been released already, and this is gonna be from worst to best. So let's begin with the worst one, number 10. Yep, Captain America the First Avenger. Well, it came out during phase 1 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and this movie actually felt forced because, you know, they needed to introduce Captain America. It wasn't the best movie out there. I mean, his fucking head was CGI'd into a little skinny man's body. His head looked all big, floating around and shit. And not only was that part bad, but the story was bad too. I mean, I don't even think it was really necessary. They could have just explained his backstory in the Avengers, but I set up some characters for the next movie and some plot points, such as the Red Skull, for the Winter Soldier, which was a much better movie, but we'll get to that. And Hugo Weaving was the best part of this movie, playing the Red Skull. One of Marvel's best villains. I don't know if he'll be back. I don't think so. Hugo doesn't want to return to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but, you know, we shall see. Anything can happen. Now let's go on to number 9. Yep, Iron Man 3 was the movie that was most anticipated after the Avengers movie. And, well, a lot of people consider Part 2 the worst one, but to me, Iron Man 3 sucks. I'm sorry. For a movie that's called Iron Man 3, there wasn't any Iron Man at all most of the time. It was mostly Tony Stark, and when he was there, he wasn't even in the suit. He was just controlling them. I know most of the suits were prototypes, but come on. Those fucking suits broke like glass. And, well, it just bothered me, and yeah. Now let's go on to number 8. I know maybe this one should have come before Iron Man 3, but, you know, I actually didn't think Iron Man 2 was as bad as people made it out to seem. To me, it's basically underrated. Yep, I said it. I know it's number 8 on my list. It should be a bad movie, but yeah, it's underrated. People give it a lot of shit, and it wasn't even as bad. Well, not as bad as number 3. I mean, after all, it is the movie that introduced us to Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow, right? And she's one of the best characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I think Mickey Rourke did a good job portraying the villain, as well as Don Cheadle taking over as War Machine. I mean, come on, what more could you ask for? At least this movie actually drove more towards the Avengers, so you can't really say it wasn't necessary. Unlike Captain America. Anyway, let's go on to number 7. Thor: The Dark World. Now, this movie was kind of a letdown for me because I'm a big Thor fan. I mean, I enjoyed the first Thor movie. It's probably one of my favorites in phase 1. And, well, I was really excited for Thor: The Dark World. But then when I heard Dark Elves were going to be the villains, I was like, it's Marvel. They'll find a way to make it work. But you know what? The villains weren't even likable. Like, Loki. I mean, come on. You can't top a villain like Loki. It's supposed to be the sequel. They're supposed to improve stuff from the first movie. I mean, because the first movie, Thor didn't even have his powers. And they could have done so much with Thor 2, but somehow they messed it up. I mean, it's not a bad movie. I still enjoyed it. I liked it, but some parts I was bored. And, well, I'm sorry, but it wasn't that good. Now let's go on to number 6. The Incredible Hulk, starring Edward Norton and Tim Roth. Boy, was this movie fucking good. Just because it's number 6 doesn't mean it was bad. It was awesome. I mean, Edward Norton is my favorite Hulk. He was born to play the Hulk. I mean, Mark Ruffalo doesn't do a bad job, but personally, I prefer Edward Norton. And then we have Tim Roth playing the villain, Abomination. And he was pretty badass too. Man, I wish he could come back for another MCU movie, but who knows? It's like Marvel's doing their best to forget that this movie ever happened. And that really sucks. Now let's go on to number 5. Here we have Thor. Yep, like I said, Thor is one of my favorite movies from phase 1. It's probably the one that I watched the most from phase 1. And it had one of the best villains. I mean, it introduced us to Loki, which is pretty badass and plays a big part in the Avengers. Now, number 4. Okay, this movie was fucking overrated from the moment it came out, but it deserves this spot on this list because it was overall a good movie. Even if it wouldn't be considered a superhero movie, because, come on, Captain America doesn't have that many good superpowers. It was still a good action movie, a good spy movie, if you want to call it that. And it expanded the world that the first part set up. Like, the fucking Hydra and the Red Skull and all that. And it expanded it even more. So you can pretty much say that the first one wasn't a big waste because it set up events for this movie, especially with the Winter Soldier. Now let's go on to number 3. And number 3 we have Iron Man, the movie that introduced us to one of the best heroes in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the one that started this whole universe thing. I mean, come on, the after credit scene, it surprised everybody with Nick Fury showing up, talking about the Avengers initiative. And I think the studio did a good part in casting Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man because honestly, I can't picture anybody else playing that role. Now let's go on to number 2. Yep, I always tell most of my friends that I like Guardians of the Galaxy more than the Avengers or that it's the better movie. Come on, I gotta be honest here. Although it is true that I prefer Guardians over the Avengers, I enjoy the Guardians of the Galaxy movie more than I do the Avengers. And also, if I had to pick one group of people to hang out with, it would be the Guardians of the Galaxy, simply because they are the funniest, more outgoing people that they have ever put on film. We have Drax, Gamora, which is freaking badass. Star-Lord Peter Quill. He was a good, likable character with a good backstory. And the ending to this movie was pretty sad, with the whole thing with his mom and everything. Also, Groot, voiced by Vin Diesel, who only says like a couple of words in this movie, literally has like 2 lines in this whole movie. Well, he repeats them over and over. But still, somehow the directors, they made it work. And you still cared for this talking tree. Also, Rocket Raccoon, the best character out of the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. The smartest little experiment you'll ever see. Well, he's a raccoon, but fuck, who wouldn't want to hang out with this guy? He was probably the heart of this movie, and he was freaking hilarious. Now, let's go on to number 1. And I know a lot of people already saw this coming, so. Yep, the Avengers. This movie had everything a comic book fan could want. I mean, it had good characters. It fucking brought Iron Man, Captain America, the Hulk, Thor, all together into one movie. And, a lot of people were anticipating this since Iron Man 1, and it totally paid off. We had a good villain, Loki. He's like that type of villain that everybody loves to hate. And the way Joss Whedon directed the last couple action scenes, with the camera following each character through Manhattan as they fight all these fucking aliens and shit, it was just awesome. So yeah, guys, here's the order in which I prefer the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. And how would you rank them? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, like it and subscribe. See you guys next time.